Hello and welcome everyone. Andy Bryan here from Optimal Hemp. And today within this interview, I actually have a pleasure and privilege to interview Sian Phillips from Fiddlers Elbow Grease. And for those of you who don't know about Fiddlers Elbow Grease, you'll be introduced to the amazing products of, she's got an incredible hemp balms, hemp bar salts, and much, much more. But today within this interview, we'll be sharing her journey, her story, why she does the work that she does today, and how it really benefits not only herself, but other people in the industry, and how obviously the industry is changing. For those of you who don't know, I am Andy Bryan from Optimal Hemp, as I said, and I interview people from around the world to speak about hemp, to help shift the movement in hemp, to make it a more positive and vibrant movement, to create a positive influence in the world. So welcome, Sian. Thank you for joining me today. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you do.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, I'm chief cook and bottle washer for Fiddlers Elbow Grease. I was a musician, a fiddler, and I retired back in April of 2017 after a 35-year performing career.
Okay. So what was your challenge there? Because that was your leading into the hemp industry, wasn't it?
It's kind of a part of it, yes. I got diagnosed about 2.5, nearly 3 years ago with fibromyalgia. It's a tricky diagnosis. But I'd been suffering for many, many years and not realized it, usual aches and pains. But in 2014, I did a tour of New England and the northern states of USA, and came back, and I had a really sore wrist, and I thought maybe it's one of the bags I've been lugging around or something. And got signed off for 6 months and wasn't allowed to play for 6 months. So I was strapped up and I was having physiotherapy in my hand, and even the physiotherapist at the British Association of Performing Arts Medicine said, you might want to change your career.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was ultimately a shock to me, so much so I left my fiddle on the train, and then but managed to recover it because it's worth a mint. And then a couple of months later, I had problems with my knees yet again. So had them MRI scanned, and the specialist noticed that I got my hand strapped up, and he said, what's wrong with that? So I told him, and then he asked me if I'd had any other aches and pains. And when I started mentioning the list of aches and pains, he said, I think you have fibromyalgia. I will refer you to a rheumatologist. So I got referred, got confirmed. And there are 2 ways which you can take with fibromyalgia, and that is either go on antidepressants to suppress the nerve responses, or to go on opioids and benzodiazepines, i.e. codeine and tramadol. I tried the route 1 and lost 3 weeks of my life, decided that was not for me, and went on to the codeine, the tramadol, and everything else. And after a few months of that, I thought there's got to be a better way. And my partner kept mentioning, what about cannabis oil? And going like, every time I take cannabis, I throw a whitey. He said, no, there's other stuff out there. So I started researching, and and I found somebody sent me something, and I found that I threw a whitey, so it's obviously not the right stuff. And then found out about CBD oil, and that I could get that, and it was legal, and there wouldn't be any problems. And that was a bit of a mystery road. And so I set this little group up, and I called it CBD Users UK. And a couple of people joined, and in the first year we spoke occasionally, and a lovely gentleman called Dave Strong and I took the journey together, and shared each other's stories, how we were getting on and what we were doing, and does anyone know about this and that and the other. And for the first year, I think we had about 120 members.
Fantastic.
And then there was a then something happened in the industry where the MHRA started sending letters out to people, and it got fired up a little bit. And I decided I'm going to have a push, so I pushed it on the group. And the next thing you know, in December 31st, 2015, we had 3,000 members.
Wow.
So that was in the space of about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah. So that was you started CBD Users UK. That was obviously before your Fiddlers Elbow Grease business, was it?
It was, but it does lead up to it.
Okay.
One of the stipulations of the group is there's no advertising.
Yeah.
So because we didn't want to be bombarded by the market, and also people who don't have the greatest regard for other people or their purses. And anyway, so we took on a bunch of people who helped out, and I have about 30 moderators now. Because since then we've now got 23,000 members, people coming in of all walks of life with all sorts of ailments or just curiosity. And one of the things, as I mentioned, no advertising. So this gentleman came into the group and he said, I'm a hemp farmer from Lithuania.
Excellent.
So we have a producers group as well. And I had a chat with him, and because I was buying tea from Amazon, and making my own balms and experimenting with oils. And I have a mentor in the USA as well, a massage mentor, and she recommended a few oils, so I mixed them up and then added them to the base that I'd been extracting from the hemp tea. And this balm appeared that seemed to actually relax me, help me out, not make me, it just made me feel a lot better and took some of the sting out of life.
Fantastic. So that was so you extracted the hemp from the tea, did you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I used the tea itself and put it into like a coconut oil base. Excellent. And experimented with decarboxylating and all these other lovely terms that we use. But and because I'm also I'm also a trustee for a fibromyalgia charity. So if you give something up, you've got to fill it. You've got to fill the gap a little.
Definitely.
So I sent it out to some of the members there and some of my admin team, and they came back and said, "Wow, this is really great stuff. Have you thought about marketing it?" Bang.
Excellent.
Seed sown. Here we go.
So that was the basis of the Fiddlers Elbow Grease, FEG Balms,
Yeah, that's basically it. I've been making lip balms and things like that for a while, and body balms, but nothing really, it's all simple stuff: coconut oil, a bit of shea butter or cocoa butter, and other oils, calendula. And they were turning out okay, So when I sent these off to people, they were going like, "Yeah, this will work." Yeah. So I decided I think it was back in March, April. I decided I was definitely going to go for it, and I took on a small unit.
Yeah.
It was only 3 by 4 square meters. It's 12 square meters.
Yeah.
Beginning of November, I moved into a 36 square meter unit.
Excellent. Keeps on growing then.
It keeps on growing. It's fantastic.
Fantastic. So obviously you sell some amazing balms, and the balms aren't just natural fragrance, because you've got the rose geranium one as well. So you've mixed in a lovely fragrance to it. Are you looking to introduce other scents as well as you move forward? Yes,
I am. I've got other fragrances, and I have to. I'm sitting here with 12 bottles around me at the moment because I'm going to mix some new fragrances. So I've picked up some new oils.
Fantastic.
So yes, I've got one at the moment which is very citrusy.
So we've spoken briefly about your story of fibromyalgia, and that's how you came into the industry in many ways.
Yeah.
If I was to ask you then, what was your big goal and vision with the company and hemp as a whole? And I'd imagine it relates quite heavily back to fibromyalgia, but is there anything else that really sparks your interest in really getting these amazing products out there and shifting the industry?
Well, fibromyalgia is one of these terrible, I will say it's a terrible condition to have, because there's about 168 different symptoms, and you don't get them all, but you might get a lot of them. But it's like, we need sleep. Everybody needs sleep. A lot of us don't sleep very well, and our bodies don't heal because we don't sleep, and because we're in pain because we're not healing, we don't sleep. So it's a it's a dog eat dog thing, you know. But I found with the hemp that I could actually sleep. I could take hemp tea, and I sell Xenon hemp tea as well, from Lithuania, and I get a lovely night's rest on that. But it also means that I can actually pace myself better to put things in. So it's, I could talk about fibromyalgia till the cows come home, but actually a lot of conditions cause anxiety, and through anxiety, lack of sleep, and then lack of sleep causes anxiety because you're not getting it. There you go again. It's circular. So if you can find a natural way to get more sleep and rest, then you can heal better.
Definitely,
and I feel that everybody should do that.
And it's great that you mention that, because I'm a massive believer in natural health and well-being, and our body's own natural healing mechanism in terms of, like what you mentioned, sleep, rest, relaxation. Our body can go into a state of healing once we do that, once we get the sleep that we need, once we do rest. And if sometimes it takes longer than others, but it does make a huge difference, doesn't it? So
I mean, pharmaceuticals can be a quick fix. You get a headache, you take a paracetamol. Whereas if you didn't have the problem that caused the headache in the first place, then you wouldn't need the paracetamol. I have to admit that paracetamol is probably the strongest painkiller I take now. But generally I turn to, better get some hemp down my neck or something like that. But there's a lot of healing products. I mean, I'm going to go and mention my salt baths as well. My friend in America, Debbie, she said, why don't you take an Epsom salt bath? And I thought to myself, Epsom salts, isn't that what old ladies use? But actually, we're in this mad rush world. We've got to take a shower. No, just sit in a bath for an hour or 20 minutes or however long you like. And I found that the Epsom salts were great. I come out of it very thirsty, but and my skin dried up a little. But I started experimenting by using a fractionated coconut oil extraction, which meant that the oil stayed liquid instead of solidifying. So I put that into Epsom salts, and then I started mixing Himalayan salts because of there's iron properties in there as well, and a few other things, and zeolites, and so and now I make these salt bags, and if I'm ever in the world of pain, I just take a bath and then head for bed. So I'd really boost my system.
And I'll admit, I've had a bath with the salts, and they actually feel fantastic. And it's almost as if you jump in the bath, and almost immediately you feel quite softened. Your skin feels softened, and you relax very, very easily in the bath. That's what I loved about them anyway when I experienced it myself. So
I enjoy my baths. So I complemented things with then soaps, grinding hemp down to a powder and putting it into soaps.
Fantastic.
But using a mixture of the balm oils I use in the soap as well.
If we can jump back to your balms for just a moment, because the interesting thing about the balms is obviously we apply it to the skin,
Yeah.
And obviously with our skin, there's, you know, the tiny little holes within our skin, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the sweat glands, so to speak, where the balm is absorbed into our muscles.
Yes.
You know, how do you feel that affects our bodies and assists us in the process of relaxation?
Well, there's a couple of things with the balms. Obviously, there's hemp in them. There's the other oils I use. St. John's wort oil or hypericum oil is one, and calendula and avocado. I've got something in development shortly, which will include arnica as well.
Okay.
And just nice stuff. And our body reacts to nice stuff in a very, very, what's the word for it? It's in small ways, an aromatherapy as well. We don't think that, you know, when we smell onions at a fair, yes, we want a hot dog,
Yeah.
you know, that kind of thing. Or, you know, going into somebody's house and smelling the coffee on, how does it make you feel, you know?
Yeah.
And fresh smells make you invigorated, and then woody smells can, you know, settle you down. And I think it's a combination. It's not just one thing. It is a combination of things.
Yeah.
And I think people rely too heavily on like one food supplement. No, actually, our lives need more than just the one food supplement. Yes, vitamin C and echinacea when you've got a cold, and
Yeah.
B12 and B6 when you're feeling jittery. But actually, you know, if you have a balance, I think that it's not just the one thing.
Definitely. I agree. It's you got to work on the whole body, you know, whole mind and body, and you know, it works. You know, a proponent of holistic health, and holistic health relies on, you know, looking at different avenues of how we can treat our bodies, and, you know, live a way that's in alignment with who we are, you know.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
So as we close out this interview, I may ask you an interesting question that you may want to share, you may not. And that is, what have you got some new products that you're looking to introduce in the upcoming year?
Yes, I do. I have basically I have my arnica range basically, and I'm starting off with emerald oil.
Okay.
It's a massage oil, but I'll be doing a balm in a stick as well. But
Okay.
it'll have everything and a few less things.
Okay.
So I'm adding arnica. I'm changing the cocoa butter to shea butter.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not. I've done that bit wrong. No, I'm sticking with the cocoa butter, but I am changing the beeswax to sunflower wax, which
Okay.
opens up a new market for vegan
Definitely. Yeah.
vegan balms. As you well know yourself, the beeswax can be extracted in a way that can be harmful to bees, and we never know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You know, how the queen is treated and things like that. And I completely understand that, you know, yes, it is an animal product. It's not taken forcefully from the animal, but it's still an animal product. And that, you know, you have to respect people's ways of life and wishes.
Definitely, and I completely agree. But that's fantastic. You're introducing those new products, and I look forward to using them myself. And you know, here's a little plug for me as well. Because I love your products and I think they're amazing. But started working with massage therapists and reflexologists up and down the country to deliver CBD infused massage and reflexology. And one thing that we've introduced is using your amazing hemp bath salts to start off a reflexology treatment to bathe the feet and
That's
really
great.
kick that off. And I think it's fantastic. And they really enjoy the treatment. So thank you very much.
I can quickly put in that quite a famous folk singer who had a plantar fasciitis under her foot. The tendons under her foot were inflamed, and she was she was 5 hours from going on stage at one of the Oxfordshire's biggest folk festivals.
Yeah.
And she had a PIMS on ice and a foot soak with me, with with some of my salts, and she got up and danced that night.
Excellent. It's
You might be
amazing
right.
what these products can do, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So one last question: what would you like to see shifting and changing in the hemp industry as a whole, in terms of a positive influence as we look forward?
In terms of a positive influence, I think that reinvestigating hemp in general and getting rid of some of this antiquated legislation, which is prohibitive to anybody's well-being. If you are, I'm a great believer that hemp has been taken out of the food chain, and that is why we're seeing so many illnesses. So actually getting this legislation and not stigmatizing, it's not reefer madness, it's not this, it's actually very beneficial, and that people should actually take their heads out of the sand in high places and see that if we just took all the paperwork away and let people eat it, drink it, smear it over their bodies, whatever they want to do with it.
Yeah.
But obviously everything is open to abuse, but it has to be legislated somehow, but not with boxing gloves on.
Definitely. No, I agree. It's moving in a positive direction where we can support the movement rather than cause it a hindrance,
Yes, absolutely.
And finally, where can we find out more about yourself, your work, and what you do?
Well, you can find out on my website, which is www.fiddlerselbowgrease.co.uk. When I get a little bit of a chance, I occasionally write a blog and about myself, or about members of staff, or about people who I've been in contact with, or the products, or just interesting stuff.
Fantastic. And obviously we can have people join the CBD Users UK group if they search for that on Facebook, can they, as well?
That's correct. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sharing your story and introducing the world to your amazing products that are incredibly beneficial for people around the world. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Is there any last things you wanted to share?
Season's greetings to everyone.
Fantastic. Yep, definitely season greetings from myself as well. Thank you all for listening, and I do look forward to speaking to you all again soon in our next upcoming interview. And with that, I will say bye for now.